Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Elise Scripter, Director of Strategic Communications for the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as moderator and co-host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes, featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask any questions, simply use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. And now for the weekly notes. Over the weekend, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference crowned the men's and women's cross-country champions. On the men's side, the Norfolk State Spartans won their 5th consecutive title and 17th overall. Head coach Kenneth Giles was named the men's championship outstanding coach. Finishing first in the men's 8K was Meshach Kuyo from North Carolina Central with a new championship record time of 23 minutes, 18 seconds. Kuyo was named the meet's male outstanding performer. 4 Spartans finished behind him, led by Brian Rodich. On the women's side, the Norfolk State Spartans won their 2nd consecutive championship crown and 5th overall. Giles was again named the outstanding coach. Winning the gold medal for finishing first was Howard University's Jocelyn Crosby. Crosby also set a new championship record time, crossing the finish line in 17 minutes, 15 seconds in the women's 5K. Crosby was named the meet's female outstanding performer. Marceline Camayo and Yvonne Sandui from Norfolk State rounded out the top 3. The cross-country teams will take to the course again for NCAA regional races on Friday, November 15th, with the national championship race taking place on Saturday, November 23rd. In women's volleyball, the Howard Bison remained perfect in conference action with a pair of 3-0 sweeps over Delaware State and Maryland Eastern Shore. Norfolk State also went 2-0 on the weekend with 5-set wins over Delaware and Maryland Eastern Shore also. Howard remains first in the standings with Coppin State in 2nd, Delaware State in 3rd, and Norfolk State sitting 4th. The teams have 4 conference matches remaining before the conference championship on November 22nd to the 24th in Dover, Delaware. And basketball season tips off tonight with 13 of the 16 programs hitting the court. And that concludes the MEAC notes. And now joining me as co-host throughout the season is executive producer of the MEAC Digital Network, Mr. Lynn Thompson. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being here with us. Let's talk MEAC football.
Thanks so much, Elise. Good to see you this morning, and welcome everybody for our 11th video conference of this 2024 season. Of course, we've got exciting information to share as we are full speed ahead in the race for the MEAC Football Championship and the Celebration Bowl bid. And I know everybody's ready to take a look back at last week's exciting MEAC action, and we're going to also get a preview of this week's important. Without much ado, let's jump right into it. Our first interview of the morning is with the head coach of the Howard University Bison, Coach Larry Scott. How are you today, Coach Scott?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good, Coach. The Bison rebounded with a dominant 38-0 win over Delaware State this weekend. The Bison were rolling. Let's talk about the team's performance, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably our most team, our best performance as a team. Playing complementary football, OD and K, that we've had all season. I love the way our guys continued to work and grind last week in practice, and I thought we had probably one of our better weeks of practice too, as well. And it kind of showed in the game. We played some really good football at times. There's still some things we still can do better and clean up and all that kind of stuff. But was really happy with our defense and the way that they continued to progress, as we talked about a little bit last week, and to give up only 116 yards in a game, and the other team not score is a pretty good outing. So feel real good about where we are, and we got a big one this week.
Coach, let's talk about this performance defensively. 116 yards in a football game at a Division I level. That's a real good performance. What was the key to this success defensively this week?
I think our guys just coming out and wanting to play dominant football and wanting to be dominant on defense and being stingy with every blade of grass was what, we kind of talked about all week, and continuing to progress the way that our defense has been progressing throughout the season. It was time to come out and just play to our full potential. guys be in the gaps, be where they're supposed to be, tackle, cover. We had 2 turnovers too as well. So they just wanted to come out and be stingy and defend every blade of grass and play to the capabilities of what we thought our defense would have the chance to play to all year. And that's what we talk about in our program: play great defense. And that was a pretty good outing. And hopefully we continue to build on that, because we definitely gonna need it this week against this bunch we got coming in here.
Okay, well, let's talk about this week's matchup. A red-hot South Carolina State Bulldog football team, coach, coming off of a big win at home against North Carolina Central. How do you match up against them? And let's talk about how well you match up against them offensively and defensively.
Well, that's what we kind of started looking at yesterday and going on into this morning. The one thing you got to be able to match, they got great team speed overall at all positions. The team speed is what you see right now when you turn on the tape. And these guys are fast, they're physical, they're explosive on offense, they're twitchy and run around and make plays defensively. And they have a lot of erasers, like I like to call them on defense, where, if a guy is, even if he's wrong and out of a gap, they play with such great team speed and run to the ball that they can make, bad plays right. And so when you have erasers and correctors like that, and that always gives you a chance. So the overall team speed, they're a physical team, and the way that they play, there's some matchup things that you better be cognizant of, especially with their defensive front, what those 2 ends can do. And that when you got a front like that, you can definitely wreck a game. And I know that's what they're coming in here to try to do. So I know it's one of the matchups that we're aware of, and we got to make sure we have a plan to contain it.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the big win. You got a lot of momentum going into this real big ball game. Hang on, Elise has some questions from the media for you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Scott come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How are you?
Chris, good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Obviously, when you said last week that this team was pretty much in the same place in 2023, that you guys still pretty much control your own destiny from this point. Just what did you see in practice this week that told you that this past week that told you this team was going to be ready for Delaware State?
Just their focus, attention to detail, their energy, their spirit of practice. They were still very spirited. These guys were getting after it in our emphasis periods, and it was pretty physical. And those type of things, I just saw a different, I saw a raised level of physicality and practice speed and different things like that, and accountability and communication, and guys holding each other accountable, and, just a lot of team-driven, I won't say team-driven energy that wasn't had to be sponsored by coaches or pushed by coaches. You can tell from the way that they walked in the meetings last week, and the way that we approached our practice and all those type of things. You just saw a different focus and a different energy. And it's not like they hadn't done that all year, but I think they just understood that, hey, now the situation is it's win or go home. Our back's up against the wall, and there's only one decision to make. And so, they kind of adopted this slogan around here, man, and just, burn the boats. We're all here. We're on the island. This is what it is. We ain't no returning. So burn them all. And then that's kind of been just kind of their focus and how they've worked and proceeded this week. And obviously, we got a lot of challenges this week, not only with a really, really good South Carolina State team, we also have an election and campaign headquarters being hosted on our campus. And we have Secret Service and all those people all around us and telling us when we can go places, what we can do, how we got to do it, how we enter, how we exit, what practice windows and times that we have in class. So we have a very challenging and unique week amongst us, but a history-making one, too, as well. So it's an exciting time here for us.
That was actually going to be my final question, so I can skip that one. So I'll just go ahead to my next question. Eric Phoenix, he has pretty much taken this conference by storm, and you've seen a lot of talented quarterbacks this year. What is it about him that stands out for you, and what are you guys going to have to do to try to contain him on Saturday?
I mean, you can see that the guy's fearless. He's fearless. He's very confident. And when he stands in the pocket, he knows what he's doing. You can tell he's got a really good grasp of the offense, and that he's out there and he's a field general. I mean, he's running it. It all goes through him. He's a fearless guy. You can tell he's got some mental and physical toughness about him. And he's a good leader. He's leading that team right now. And I think that's the biggest thing that stands out as you watch games and watch him perform and do all of those things. So he he has all the characteristics and things like that which you would want with a veteran quarterback. And you see that coming through in the offensive play, and people are raising and elevating their play around him because of who he is. So yeah, he's a guy that makes it go.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Ty Miller.
Hey, good morning, Coach Scott. How you doing today?
Good morning, Ty. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. I want to follow up on Eric Phoenix, and Chris just talked about containing him. How important would it be for your defense to control those edges to make sure he doesn't get outside on you?
All of it. I mean, I think you gotta contain him. You have to, try to give him different looks and different things like that in the pass game. He's very efficient. He gets the ball out quick when he needs to. He takes advantage of soft throws and easy gimmies and things like that. So he really shows that he's in complete control of the offense. So I don't think it's one or two things you have to take away from him. I think you got to keep him guessing a little bit, mix things up, and show him some different pitches, different looks, and try to do all you can to kind of slow him down a little bit from a mental standpoint, and then hopefully that'll be the equalizer and gives you a chance.
And two other guys I want to ask about on offense: Kadarius Toney, he's their tight end number 5, and also Caden Hyde, number 0, the speedy wide receiver. Talk about those two guys and how key it would be for your defense to keep control of them as well.
Well, I think the key to a really good offense is when you got a really good tight end. If you got guys at that tight end position that are hybrid guys that can cause matchup issues, yeah, that's an equalizer. And I think he brings that because he has the ability to get out in open space and run routes and catch the ball. He's a big target. And he's a physical nature guy too in the run game. So he brings a really dual faceted element to their offense. And then of course they got those speedy guys out on the edge, 1, 6. Those guys can run, and they have the ability to take routine plays and turn them into explosives. A slant, a hitch, and different things like that. When you have guys that have the ability to change the game like that, that makes you really explosive, and that's what they bring.
And from a physical standpoint, Coach, I know all teams are physical. Will this be a more physical game for you, being as how they play and they look to be, or just a really physical fly to the football type of team?
Yeah, I mean, I think each and every week in MEAC play, that's what you're going to get. You look at Morgan, you look at our defense and how we play. We play a physical attacking style of defense. I think South Carolina State plays a physical attacking style of defense. And, when we play TSU, they're a big physical attacking style of defense. And, when you play Rutgers, they're a big physical attacking style of defense. So I think it's something that we're kind of accustomed to, and what our schedule has provided us this year is those type of football games. And we're built for that. And I mean, I think that's one of the biggest differences about the MEAC football. You better have a physical style of football when you play any MEAC team, because it's going to be physical, it's going to be fast, and I think that's kind of the trademark of the conference.
And finally, Coach, on the eve of the election, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about it could be a historic week in D.C. and just for the nation as a whole. For your football team, how much discussion has been had about voting? And to your knowledge, have most of your players who are eligible or registered voted?
All of our guys are registered to vote. We've been wearing vote shirts, whether it's been in our Bison Walk and all of our pregame pullovers for the last few weeks have been vote, unregistered RU with numbers on them. So we've been very conscious of that. It's something that we spend a lot of time talking about in this country's history. It's a historic moment, and we're not going to miss this moment. Multiple things can be true at the same time. And one of the things I don't want them to understand, I mean, our campus right now is like, it looks like when you go down to the White House at times, or you go down to the Capitol, there's barricades, there's cement barricades and fencing and things everywhere. And there's only certain places they can go and be, and certain checkpoints and all that kind of stuff that's going on. So it's making our week a little more structured than what it usually is, and how we move around campus, even in our locker rooms. What windows we have to practice and can't practice, what can we film and not film, and we got a lot of things that Secret Service and government has us doing, and it's it's changing the routine a little bit, but it's a moment in time, man. It's history. We're not pitting one against the other. We're embracing it all, understanding what this moment can mean for our history, for them as they continue to progress as Black men in this country. So yeah, we spend a lot of time talking about those things, because when you talk about winning and championships and all that kind of stuff, all these type of things run synonymous with each other. And you're amongst excellence this week, and let's go be excellent as well.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from James Hill. Still muted there, James.
Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm having microphone issues over here. Talk a little bit about your football team at this point in the season. There's still games left to be played, and so the outcome is not determined, and it's all about MEAC play going forward.
Yeah. So I mean, it's you know, as cliche as it may sound, it's a 1 week season. Every week it's a 1 game deal, 1 day deal, right? We're taking it 1 day at a time around here in the process of winning. Obviously, it's through preparation, and how our preparation proceeds is on a day-by-day basis. Every meeting, every practice, every walkthrough, everything has to be with a high level of attention and focus and detail. You know, our football team is starting, I think, to just kind of find stride with our quarterback and what we're doing offensively, and our defense coming in gel. And I think we're starting to peak and play some pretty good football at the right time. Even in a loss last week, 1-point loss last week in Norfolk, I started to see the flashes and the glimmer of what it can be. And I'm going to tell you, most people, I thought, were underrating that Norfolk football team. And I think everybody's finding out that, you know, they play pretty good football there too. And they're making these games tough. And me and Coach Odom's actually kind of talked about it, that every one of them are going to come down to looking like this. You look at last week, 21-14, you look at 38-37, you look at 20-21, that's what it's going to be. And week in and week out in this thing, and we got to take it 1 game at a time, 1 day at a time. So looking forward to it being no different, you know, this week for all of us, and including us this weekend against a really, really, really good South Carolina State football team.
Coach, this will be a historic week and a historic next few days on the Hill, where you have a alumni there, the vice president, and she has a golden opportunity to be voted in as the president, to see that political process on your campus and to experience that. Talk a little bit about that firsthand, what that looks like.
Yeah, you really can't explain it, right? It's something you pinch yourself about a little bit, because it's just like, wow, this is actually unfolding right here in front of us. Most times, you know, you're sitting at home and you're seeing it all over the news, you know, and looking at it from afar. Our young men and we get a chance to witness it firsthand. We get to see all the stages of them setting it all up, and, you know, the snipers on the roofs, and, you know, the way that they move, and how Secret Service is moving around our campus right now with the sweeps and all those good things, all those things. These guys are getting to witness that, and we're pausing and letting them have these moments. We're actually going to practice tomorrow morning with classes being suspended, and then we're going to give them the day to go experience this on this campus as a student in this historic time point. I don't want them to miss this moment, no matter what the situation could be. I don't want them to miss out on this moment, because this is something that they'll relish and be able to talk about the rest of their life in this historical moment in our country's history. So we're going to get done. We're going to get our work done in the morning. We're going to be focused, dialed in with that. Get good work done, you know, get our preparation, but then we're going to give these guys the rest of the afternoon to go be where they want to be when this moment happens, so that we create those memories of a lifetime for them too as well.
Coach, South Carolina State University, when you think about the Bulldogs and they're coming on, you guys won the MEAC last year. They went to the Celebration Bowl a few years back, won the whole thing. What goes through your mind thinking about this year's version of South Carolina State?
Explosive. Explosive. Go, Coach. You can tell they've taken on, you know, the mantra and the philosophies of Coach Bear there. They're physical, they're fast, they're explosive. One of the things that, you know, I noticed more too than anything, they're together now. They're a bunch that they play together, they feed off each other's energy, you know, they celebrate, they're energized, they play with a lot of enthusiasm. So the character and personality traits of Coach Bear, definitely, you know, you see it. All you gotta do is turn on the tape, you watch them on TV, whatever it is. This is a team that is playing together. They're playing fast, they're playing physical, and you can tell that, you know, they've done a hell of a job. Coaching and staff has done a hell of a job with this bunch, and they've had some transfers and people come in and help them, and they bonded them and gelled them pretty closely and pretty well, really fast. And you can see that coming through. So we got our hands full this week, really do.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Scott at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, I'll see you next week.
Howard welcomes South Carolina State on Saturday, November 9th at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff is set for 3:30 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN Plus and re-airing on ESPNU. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview of the morning is with the head coach of the North Carolina Central Eagles, Trey Oliver. Good morning to you, Coach Oliver.
Good morning, Lynn. How you doing?
You're doing well, Coach. Last week, very good football game, a tough outing for the Eagles. Let's talk about the matchup last Thursday night against South Carolina State.
Yeah, we were in a dogfight down in Orangeburg and came up short. Very disappointed. I don't think our guys got off the bus in the first half. We put ourselves in a hole, got down 17-0. Didn't play well in any facet of the game in the first half. Came back, made some adjustments to challenge our guys at halftime, and came back and thought we played better in the second half. But when you play in games like that, you're going to make plays, they're going to make plays, but it's really about limiting your mistakes. And I thought we made way too many mistakes, got down way too much early to really give ourselves a chance to win the game. But we had been playing, complimentary football throughout the year for the most part. We didn't do that Saturday. Like I said, first half, we didn't do much on either side of the ball. Second half, I thought that defensively played better, played much better in the second half, and came up with some big stops, came up with a couple fourth down stops, and gave ourselves an opportunity to get back into the game. But when we get stops offensively, you gotta execute and take advantage of those to score points, and we did not do that. Came down the last possession, and we needed one more stop by the defense, and we did not get that. So obviously we are disappointed. Coaches, players are disappointed, but we lost to a good football team, and we talk about mistakes. Good football teams help you with that. So unbelievable quarterback, the kid Phoenix, man. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be the player of the year, offensive player of the year. Phenomenal young man, and kind of reminded me of the one that we had last year. But they have a really good football team. We knew that coming in, and Coach Williams, offensive coordinator, I thought did an outstanding job. Had a great game plan, and Coach Barry and his team, they got an outstanding team down there in Orangeburg.
Coach, you're off this week with the second bye. How will the Eagles take advantage of this break as you continue your quest for the MEAC championship?
Even this late in the season, we still got to work technique and fundamentals. And I think a lot of it is situational play. I was not pleased at all with our situational play Saturday, whether it be field position or situation awareness, whether it be third down. I thought our third down defense was awful. It was terrible. And we had, played really good third down defense all year. But they made plays on third down, and we didn't get off the field. So we will go back to technique and fundamentals this week as well, and still, try to get some guys that are banged up, try to get some of those guys back.
Okay, Coach, hold on just for a second. Wishing you the best of luck as you move forward. A lot more football to be played. And Elise, questions for the media for Coach.
Yes, Lynn, thank you. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Oliver come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Morning, Coach Oliver. How are you?
I'm well, Chris. How you doing?
Pretty good. Obviously a disappointing result, but there's still a lot of football left to be played. What was your message to the team after the game as far as the rest of the season goes?
Just that, obviously we had lost a lot of games around here in the last couple of years. So, guys are heartbroken. It's a different feel in the locker room, but, we lost one and it's not the end of the world. We'll pull up bootstraps up and work to get better next week, but there's still a lot of football left to be played. We're not even halfway through the season. We won one game against Norfolk State, and the media's talking about, Central. So now South Carolina State beats us, and everybody's South Carolina State. We're not even halfway through the season yet. And I've seen a couple of those other teams. So it's a lot of football left to be played. Obviously, South Carolina State is in the driver's seat, and we've got our work cut out for us. But we're not going to look any further ahead. We work to prepare for take this week off and get ready for Howard. But it's not much difference between the top team and the bottom team in this conference. So it's going to be a lot of close games, down the stretch. There's going to be a lot of good football, but it's really good to see how competitive our conference is. And I've been screaming about we play really good football in this physical brand. And, you saw that Thursday night, and you'll see some more really good football the next 2 or 3 weeks to come.
Were you surprised that your team, as you said, didn't get off the bus in that first half? You guys you came in there on a 5-game heater. You were outscoring teams by nearly 200 points. Was it just, the overall? Were you shocked at how slow they started, or do you attribute that to South Carolina State playing some good football?
No, I think I was very shocked at how slow we started. Um, obviously we knew how good South Carolina State was, and we knew the magnitude of the game. Um, I can't quite put my finger on why we started so slow, but that's on me. I had to have the guys prepared to play, ready to play. As soon as we got the bus, when they kick the ball off, we got to be ready to roll. And there's no excuses about that, no ifs, ands, and buts. Again, I take my hat off to South Carolina State. They're a very good football team, but we have to be more intentional. I thought we should have been playing faster, and we just seemed like we were a step slow.
And lastly, towards the end of the game, there was you had an animated discussion with the officials near the end. Was there something that caught your eye that you thought they didn't see? What was going on at the end of the game?
I guess more so than anything, it's been an ongoing thing that with the officials. Sometimes it's about communication. I understand, as a coach, I might make a bad call, a player might make a bad play. As an official, you might miss a call. But I think that as coaches, we're deserving of some communication. And coach, I missed the call, or coach, this happened, or I didn't see that. That's cool. But when the game's on the line or something's going on, I think that they need to communicate with the coaches. And that had absolutely no bearing on the game. South Carolina State was a better team that day, and they beat us.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy your bye week.
Yep, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody on campus are well. How are you, sir?
We're well, James. How you doing?
I'm hanging in. The MEAC, it's not over until, the entire amount of games are played. Can you talk about continuing, staying the course and keeping guys engaged? And again, there's a lot of football to be played.
Definitely. And regardless of whether we're undefeated or have however many losses, you're still worried about the next game, and you got to have blinders on. You can't be good or bad. You can't listen to all the naysayers or read social media and all that stuff. So, we just got to stay the course and continue to improve. Like I say, every week, we got to get a little bit better every week. That's what it's all about. And you would love to be able to control your own destiny, but obviously we're going to need a little bit of help now. But the last 2 years, the conference champ has had a loss. I don't understand the tiebreaker stuff. I don't worry about all that. So we just worried about trying to get better this week. Focus on academics, get ready to get out and vote this week and watch the election, and then get ready to go up to, get ready for a very good Howard team to come down here.
Coach, talk a little bit about keeping a football team together, galvanized, where there's moving parts, the schedule, there's classroom, there's the practice, there's the bye week, there's the holidays, there's all these different things going on. But at the end of the day, you keep the Eagles football team intact as you move forward.
Well, you got to have structure, and then you have to have great communication. So we have to have a plan. Obviously, we push our schedule out, our calendar out for 6 months, so guys have an idea about what's happening, in May, June, July. But you have a plan. We go through with the staff, support staff to make sure everybody's on board and everything. And then from there, the guys, go to work. So we keep the same routine for the most part. Obviously, with the election this week, we'll tweak practice a little bit. But if something major is going on within our schedule and our structure, we obviously communicate with the guys. So we'll let them know as soon as we find something out. So doesn't catch them off guard. But the guys understand this is a fluid business. This is very fluid as far as football is concerned, our scheduling. So come with call and be ready to roll.
Coach, during this time of the season when you have a bye week, does this give you an opportunity to look at players who may be trying to come to your school, whether it be a transfer portal or a high schooler, or how does that recruiting process work? I know you're focused on this year's schedule, but when you have a break in the action, is there any time to kind of look around and see what's what?
Definitely. Well, Obviously, recruiting is 12 months out of the year. That doesn't stop, bye week or not. We recruit every week here. And we set aside time we can watch prospects and return phone calls and all that stuff. So we set up times every week for that. As far as portal is concerned, I don't do a whole lot with the portal. I'm not a huge transfer guy. So that hasn't crossed my mind. We don't look at rosters and try to poach kids and all that stuff. So, if it's a situation about the portal, we'll address that after the season and look at some people. But right now it's just about strictly recruiting high school student athletes.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week and a great bye, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, James.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver. Good morning to you.
I'm good, Ty. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Can you just talk to me about the calmness you showed at halftime with your team down 17-0 and the confidence you had in them to respond?
Yeah, I mean, I have all the faith in the word of my guys. I knew we played a terrible half. That's not North Carolina Central football. And we were going to go in the locker room and get it corrected, and I thought our staff did that. And we made some adjustments and kind of got the guys' attention a little bit. And I thought we came out and played much better. But we talk about having a thermostat mentality, ironically, and kind of got to be even kill. So I kind of got to keep it together, and I knew that we would fight our way back in that game. I wasn't panicking, and our guys were. And again, talk about thermostat mentality. It kind of got a little bit over that 68-70 at the end of the game. But I talked to the team about that and addressed that penalty I got. But we could never let that happen, and I could not hurt our team like that. But thermostat mentality, man. In halftime, nobody panicked. We just knew we had to make some adjustments and come back and play better.
Hey, Coach, about that penalty you just mentioned, I thought it was remarkable, and you can talk about this, about how when you got the penalty and then the game was soon over, and you responded with an incredible sportsmanship when you greeted Chinnis Berry at midfield. Can you talk about that?
Coach Berry's my guy, and I respect Coach Berry, his staff. I know a lot of those guys, they got a great staff over there. They have a really good football team. And any feelings I had towards a situation during the game had nothing to do with Coach Berry. So going before the game, I knew he's going to try to kick my butt. I was going to try to kick his butt. We shook hands before the game. And after the clock hit 0, it's over with. I had my 60 minutes. We lost. So we're going to shake hands and be boys again after that.
And final question, Coach. Can you give me some details and some comments about number 54, your linebacker, Max Urin?
Yeah, Max should have scored that interception. But Max is a phenomenal young man, great football player, already graduated. Very smart football player and physical. And, he's been opportunistic throughout the season and has been a playmaker for us. And I think he and Chicago Pavard, our two inside linebackers, have been playing well together throughout the season. And he came up with a big play, read a quarterback's eyes, made a play. And I thought he was going to be able to try to hold the guy off, but we got to work on something with strength conditioning and everything, speed, all that stuff this off season. But that was a big play that Max made.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Enjoy your week.
Yeah,
that is all of our questions for Coach Oliver at this time. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
North Carolina Central is off this week before hosting Howard on Friday, November 15th at O'Kelly-Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m. on ESPNU. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview of the morning is with the head coach of the Delaware State University Hornets, Lee Hall. I see you there, Coach Hall. How are you doing this morning?
Good. How you doing, Lynn?
I'm doing well, Coach. I'm doing well. Coach, not the finish that you wanted to have last weekend against Howard City. Let's talk about the game against Howard, where you just couldn't get anything going in the whole football game.
Yeah, they came out and got a big lead on us, and we couldn't dig ourselves out of the hole. They're a good football team. Obviously, I was there for 3 years under Coach Scott and have a lot of respect for him and his program and how they prepare. And Troy Jones, the defensive coordinator, they had a great game plan against us. We self-destructed, in the first half, and in the second half, we had a couple of chances to score, and we didn't. So, it's back to the drawing board.
Coach, as you put together and build the culture there in Dover, injuries have been pretty tough to overcome for the team. Beyond the physical toll, What kind of mental toll do you, in your second year, do you have to prepare your players to overcome each matchup? Because I know you're encountering so many different obstacles in year two of the program.
Yeah, Lynn, I mean, you've been a you've been a coach before, so
Yeah.
you understand. Yeah, we're a banged up football team. We have to, get healthy. And that's what I told those guys in the team meeting yesterday. We got to get healthy physically, but also mentally too. So, mentally, we're trying to work on that. We have a lot of young guys playing now. Right now we're playing with, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores, and walk-ons. So but it is what it is, and we got to get those guys prepared to go mentally and physically. So those are the things that we're trying to do right now at this point.
Yeah, coach, and you have to get kids ready to play before you envision them playing. But now you got to return home for the first time since October 5th to host a Morgan State football team that had a wonderful comeback this Saturday against Norfolk State. What are you expecting from this matchup?
Yeah, Coach Wilson does a great job. With that team, they're very, very physical on defense. I know they're attacking football team. They're going to come after you and they're going to play physical. Zero, you gotta try to neutralize him. He's a game wrecker for you. If you don't count for him, then he can wreck the whole game. Um, and offensively, they're getting better and better each week as you can see. So I know Coach Wilson to have those guys prepared to go. So we're gonna put a game plan together. Come out. We're back at home, so we got to try to protect our home turf and with whoever we have out there playing. That's what we're going to do. So we'll be ready. We'll be prepared, and we can't be 1 week score 35 and that another week score 0, 1 week score 41. So we got to find some kind of consistency and hopefully with this young team that they'll come out and prepared and ready to go at home.
Okay, coach, we hope you get all your players back healthy and ready to roll as soon as you possibly can. Hold on just for a second, Elise. Take it away from here.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please remain muted until you're introduced. Chris, our first questions for Coach Hall come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Chris.
Obviously, this has been a season that you'll want to forget when it's, done, but there's still a lot of football left to be played. Just what are you seeing in the guys that are healthy that gives you encouragement for the future?
Yeah, we got a lot of young guys, and again, we're building for the future, for sure. But we also got to win games right now in the present, So that's what we're trying to do. But you can see they didn't give up, in the fourth quarter. We missed on a couple of deep passes that we had guys open. Guys were still making stops on defense, playing physical. You can hear the pads, popping out there. So we got a lot of young guys that are physical players are good players. Obviously, they've thrust into playing right now. Maybe you want to say before their time, before they're ready, but it bodes well for the future. They're getting a lot of playing experience right now. So that's why I'm happy. I'm upbeat. I'm optimistic. With this football program, we're going to keep grinding and keep teaching, and we just got to understand what type of football team that we have, and we got to design a game plan together where we can stay in games and hopefully pull a couple of these games out here left in the season.
And that was going to be my next question. Obviously, with so many players hurt and, you having to play the guys who are there, just how difficult is it to tailor a game plan to guys who are getting that bump up in competition for the first time, seeing players bigger than them, stronger than them, older than them? Just how difficult is it to tailor a game plan each week, knowing that, you've got to get these guys that experience first before they, the skill level catches up.
Yeah, yeah, we have to do what they can do, and that's what we're learning. We're learning a lot from this football team right now is, what they can do physically and also mentally. So, a lot of times, we have to tailor down and scale down what we're doing, make it a little bit more simple for them, and try to figure out what they can do. I like our offensive line. We're starting 3 redshirt freshmen right now, but they're big physical guys, and they're learning, how to play. But like I said, the future is bright with those guys. There too. We played our 3rd and 4th string quarterback who's a freshman, a redshirt freshman. So they're getting a lot of experience too. So just looking at that, yeah, it's tough, trying to figure that out. But the more they play, the more that we learn about them and what they can do. And as coaches, all 3 phases, we just got to prepare them and our game plans tailored to what they can do.
All right, Coach. Thanks very much for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody on campus are well. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed. You actually have 3 games left, a game each week for the next 3 weeks. But Morgan is the first opportunity. When you think about the Bears, what do you see in that game, and what would you like to get done?
Well, I see a very physical, well-coached football team. A team that's going to come in here, prepare, and, going to play an attacking style defense. And, offensively, like I said, they're getting better and better each week. They just put up 38 points, against a very good Norfolk team, so you can see the progress there. So, what I'd like to see is us play a complete game, execute the game plan to the best of our ability. We know what we have, so, I just want to see our young team go out there and execute the game plan, physically, strain. We talk about, 63, each play is 6 seconds, and you need 3 big strains. And, we talk about that all the time. So that's what I want to see those guys do, is go out and strain and execute the game plan to the best of their ability, and and see where the chips fall, and just run around, fly around, have some fun. I think these last couple of games, they've been tight. I told them I want them to go out and have fun, play loose. We know you're going to make mistakes, but it's how you overcome those mistakes, and go 110%. Even if you make a mistake, something positive can come out of it. So I just need those guys to relax and have fun, and try to execute the game plan to the best of their ability.
Coach, your Hornets, can you talk a little bit about these young men? They're continuing to work on their education, work on their football skills, and come together as a group. But just when you look at your program, what are you seeing so far as you continue to build this thing and build these young men into great citizens?
Yeah, and you said it right. That's the number 1 priority, is the, build these guys into good citizens, young men, good husbands, good fathers. It's all works together. We talk about, 3 W's, winning in the classroom, number 1, winning in life, and winning on the field. When you can do the first 2, win in the classroom, win in life, and the wins will come on the gridiron. So we're trying to clean up everything holistically, approach, to this coaching. But yeah, you can see our GPA, has gone up. Our overall team GPA, our goal is a 3.0. We were at a 2.9 last semester. So, we're trying to get that to that 3.0. That's our goal, and we're achieving that. So, we stress academics is the number 1 important thing. We have to make sure these young men graduate, get an education. That's important, along with winning some football games. And I know people might not want to hear that. They're all about the wins and losses, but the wins will come. Like I said, with these young guys, the experience that they're getting, we're building the foundation. They're our foundation. I really only had really 1 recruiting class. So these guys that are playing right now are base and stuff. So I'm proud of them. I know the record's not what everybody want, once, but I'm proud of this football team, to where they're fighting, they're not giving up, they haven't quit. They're going to come out, and practice this week and practice hard. We've had a good week of practice last week, the last couple of weeks. We just got to try somehow get out to a fast start, and then try to sustain it.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great week.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Hull at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Delaware State hosts Morgan State on Saturday, November 9th at Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware. Kickoff is set for 12 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. And I can see our next interview is with us now, Coach Dawson Odom, head coach of the Norfolk State Spartans. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Doing good, doing good. How you doing, Ms. Thompson?
Doing good, Coach. Man, it was a gut-wrenching 1-point overtime loss against Morgan State last week. Coach, you took it to overtime. You had a lead, and they fought back on you. Let's share your thoughts on this great football game in the matchup.
Yeah, I think anytime these two teams play, since Coach Wilson and myself have been going against each other, it's just competitive football. We talked about it before the game, man. We talked about it on the last press conference. It's go be one of those typical MEAC clashes, and it did not disappoint. It was a good football game. It's just this point somebody had to lose, and he had his football team. They played really, really well. We got off to a good start. They fought back. We fought back. It was back and forth, kind of like our first game in MEAC play. That's just how it's going to be in this conference. That ball bounce your way sometimes it don't, but you got to be able to win the close football games. And when you come back and look at the film, you always say you left a lot of plays out there, and it shouldn't have been like that, but that's the way it is, and testament to them fighting back and continuing to press forward, and neither team wanted to give in to each other. And that's a testament of where we are. I think when you watch us play as a football team, you go see the effort, you go see the grit, you go see the grind, you go see the fight. We just got to get in our mindset that it don't always have to be close like that, and we're gaining on it. We're a good football team. It's just the ball hadn't bounced our way, but we get another opportunity in 2 weeks. But that was a good football game, and I take my hat off to Coach Wilson and his staff, and we just came up a little bit short.
Okay, Coach, defensively, the Spartans recovered 4 fumbles in the football game, 1 for a touchdown. Talk about how you assessed the defensive output last week.
We've been good with the turnover ratio. Defense is forcing turnovers. Offense has protected the football, and that's given us a chance. That's why we've been in so many ball games with a chance to win, is that we value that. The biggest disparity in that football game was our special teams. We gave them a couple big returns that gave them the short field and allowed them to get momentum. And that's some things we got to work on in this bye week and really shore those up. But defensively, we played lights out in the beginning. Wasn't able to get the stop that we needed. Made them try a field goal, and they made it to go to overtime. And then in overtime, both teams scored. We went for 2. We came up short, but we've been really good in that turnover margin, and we got to be one of the better teams. We protected the football on offense, and we found a way to get some takeaways on defense.
Okay, Coach. You're off this week, as you mentioned. What are you going to do during the bye week and get ready, and then use that to get ready for hosting Delaware State?
Well, the biggest thing on the bye week is situational football. Just closing out the season with a better understanding, get some young guys that still got some eligibility left, give them a chance to work during this bye week and give them a chance to play in these last couple of games. So continue to get some experience for some players, continue to focus on what we need to focus to be better at. But the biggest thing is situational awareness. Be better on third down, be better in 2 minute, just be better at understanding 8 minute, 4 minutes before half, and the 4 minutes coming out of half. Just making sure we're understanding what those situations are and how important they are. Filling the ball, putting your heels at 10, just situational fundamental football, and just making sure we continue to teach and get better in those situations.
Okay, Coach, wishing you the best. Week off to rest and get ready in a week and a half, basically 2 weeks for Delaware State. Elise, it's on you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Odoms come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, how are you, sir?
Hey, Mr. Hill, doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you. Mr. Daniels, the quarterback, he threw the ball around. He had it going with the air attack. Talk a little bit about his contribution, and again, tremendous upside, and he's a player.
He's getting better every week. He had full control over the offense. He was very comfortable. He threw the ball on time. His 2 throws he probably wish he would have had back in the game, but we don't get those back. We go back the next week, we get better, and that's one of the things that I think we're so excited about is his future. Just being able to have continuity where you get the same quarterback coming back with the same offensive coordinator, and just being able to get better with a spring and another summer, and just getting this football team where it needs to be. So all the pieces are there. We got it. Definitely with Daniels at the quarterback position. He's done a tremendous job, and I couldn't be more proud of a player.
Coach, your defensive line and then your secondary, your corners, even your linebackers, when you look at your Spartans defense, what are you seeing? And talk a little bit about the development, how they've been able to achieve some stops this season.
Well, we're getting better as the year goes. You're starting to see these guys have a good understanding of what we're doing. When you look at us defensively, we just went over the depth chart, where we are, who's coming back, and just who we go work out this spring. And also in this bye week, just getting a feel for getting ahead during the bye week, and just getting these guys understanding where we are as a football program. And it's not a lot of scenes. When you look at that defensive front, all but 2 of those guys will be back. You look at that linebacker core, all of them will be back. And it's just, that's what building is. And I think Coach Hull alluded to it early. You don't see the wins, but you can see the way this football team has played that we're definitely better than we were a year ago. And we're going to continue to get better. We got 2 more football games to play, and we feel like we got a chance to win. And we just got to make sure that we do those little things. And that's the biggest difference is those little things. And they show up in close football games, and just making sure you take care of business. If we can continue to do that and get better in those little things, this football team's got a chance to really become something special.
Coach, talk about keeping this team together. There's midterms and finals and holidays and elections, and there's all these different things that have to take place, but you still have a few games left, and you can really write your own ticket, so to speak, by winning. But talk a little bit about keeping this club together and guys staying focused.
Well, I think everybody's seen it with our football team, regardless of what happens the next week. These guys come out and they compete at a high level, and that's growth and development. That's mentally where you want to be. Last week has no bearings on this week, and you just continue to roll your sleeves up. No win is too exciting. No loss is too disappointing. You still got to go play the next week, and that's what it's about. It's up and downs in this college football season. You got a chance your next time out to taste victory, and you got to prepare yourself for that. Limited distractions. Try to stay focused on the day, and just understand it's about going 1-0. And if we can just achieve that and focus on that, then we feel like we always got a chance.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Odoms come from Ty Miller.
Hi, Coach Odom. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Ty. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. I just want to ask you about the decision to go for 2 in overtime. Was it a win it now mentality, did it have more to do with being on the road as opposed to being at home?
Well, the biggest thing is it's all about when you get the football. So in overtime, if you get the ball first, then of course we know what we got to do. So we play defense first. So in overtime, the second team that plays offense got to go right back on offense. Mm-hmm. So on the road, it all depends on who gets the ball first and what you do. That's a big factor in going for the win. And people know me, man. I feel like Jalen Daniels give us a chance to win football games. Put the ball in his hand. Let's make a play, and let's go for the win. I'm always going to go for the win, especially on the road. and then we play offense second, which means we would have had to go right back and play offense again, where we had difficulties. We had to convert a 3rd and 19. Then we had to punch it in. I think it took us, we went 25 yards, I think, in 9 plays. So then to put them right back out there, and they're stout on defense. They really stout on defense. Morgan Haney had on their defense. I felt like when we scored, we had the momentum. So why not go for the win?
And Coach, you mentioned that you are a young team still. As part of the maturation process, teaching these guys how to maintain a lead when they get one and to sustain it for the entire 60 minutes?
Well, that's part of being in that fight together. Yeah, I think that's the first time this year where we've been really out in front like that and then been challenged with somebody coming back and taking the lead. And then you saw the fight where we responded and took the lead back. So it's like you can see the growth process. Our first senior class will be next year. That'll be the first group of guys that we brought in as recruits. They'll be seniors next year. And now you begin to continue to see the transformation that's taking place here at Norfolk State. A lot of close losses again this year, but that one was tough on Saturday because we felt like we played well enough to win a football game, but we didn't do enough to win the football game. But that's usually how it goes.
Thank you, Coach, and enjoy the bye week.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Odoms come from Chris Stevens.
Morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
Pretty good. Obviously, coming out on the wrong side of that game was tough, but when you look back, just how exciting is it to be in that sort of environment week in and week out? Because there's no off weeks in this conference. Everybody's going to give you their best shot. Just talk about the atmosphere of being in that, environment, going to overtime, that back and forth. Just how exciting is that atmosphere, and how do you hope your guys, learn and grow from that experience?
Well, I just think it's great. It's great to be in those environments, and our conference is whoever is going to have enough guys with a heartbeat left after the non-conference schedule is going to have the upper hand. You think about it, some teams, once we start conference play, they got to play 6-7 games in a row. Still a lot of football left, and it's a survival to the finish line. And that's what makes it so competitive and so tough each and every year is its limited opportunities, and you can't waste one. And that's why each game is so competitive, because every coach and players understand that there's no room for error. You can't have a bad night. You can't have a bad quarter. You can't have a bad day, because it's limited opportunities, and you got to maximize each and every one of them.
And I asked Coach Hall this, and I'll ask you this as well. Having such a young team, just what are the challenges in putting together a strategy or a game plan for guys who are getting that bump up in competition, where they're facing guys that are older, stronger, more experienced? Like, what are the challenges of putting together a game plan that, is tailored to their strengths?
Well, you get older. I think as you play, as these guys play, as younger guys play, you get older, and you start to see that, and you start to see, first you got to be competitive, and once you become competitive, you got to find a way to win. Once you find a way to win, then you got to find a way to continue to win. Once you find a way to continue to win, then you got to find a way to win the championship. And when we got here, like I said, we had to build a program. This is not like you inherited a program that was, say, here we just come off a championship. I think 1984 is the only one in the books that and we haven't won one in FCS. So it's just making sure that these guys understand that and you build it. And we're doing that. I think each time we go out on that field, you see a difference in our football team, and we're closing in on it. We got a quarterback that I think we can look forward to the future with. Having consistency with the offensive coordinator is something else that we looking at to really be excited about, being able to have the same quarterback with the same coordinator for 2 years. And we ain't had that. So that give us a lot of hope. And we done had some consistency on defense, and just having a consistent coaching staff and consistent in our process and how we do things, and not having to reteach it every year and start all over. That's the formula. And once you have that in place, you feel like you're right around the corner from success.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. As always, enjoy your bye week.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Odoms at this time. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Behold, the green and gold.
Norfolk State is off this week with a bye before returning to host Delaware State on Saturday, November 16th at William Dick Price Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia. Kickoff is set for 12 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Okay, thank you so much, Elise. And up next, head coach, South Carolina State University Bulldogs. How you doing, Coach Chennis Berry? You've been off since Thursday night. A big win over North Carolina Central, 24-21. Talk about the Bulldogs and this big football game and a win at home.
First of all, good morning to you as well. I'll tell you what, big win for our program. You know, it was a big win, big game, great atmosphere. Halloween night, we knew what was at stake. Had a good North Carolina Central football team coming in here, well-coached team. And, you know, I thought our young men were started fast. You know, we always talk about having a fast start. I thought our young men started fast and did some really good things in all three phases. When you look at us, you know, offensively, I thought we did some good things. Defensively, I thought we, you know, played very, very well, especially in that first half. And then special teams, we were able to do some things in terms of field position battle. But all in all, we found a way to win a football game. Our philosophy around here is just try to find a way to go 1-0. And it's process for us rather than outcome. We just focus on the process, and everything we do is about going 1-0.
Coach, the defense held the Eagles to 11 first downs, recorded 4 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Now, from this view, it looked like everybody was clicking on all cylinders who was on the Bulldog sidelines. Talk about how you viewed that defensive performance. You said in the first half, you guys played extremely well. They did come back on you in the second half, made it a very tight football game, but give us your spin on things overall, particularly in light of those stats.
Well, I thought our defense, I thought they played really well. Kudos to our defense staff, Coach O'Dafford, and the whole entire defense staff had a great plan to slow down a really good offensive football team for North Carolina Central. And, you know, I was very, very proud. And it starts with the big guys up front. I think we have a defensive line that's special. We play multiple guys, and they play with great energy and effort. And that's half the battle. We play with great effort. And we feel like we have one of the top linebackers in all the FCS football. And, you know, I thought he did a good job of kind of managing the front, making sure everybody where they're supposed to be in our secondary was really, really talented. So they all play well together. And when you play well together and you believe in your preparation, we always talk about the separation is in the preparation. And I thought we had a really good week, short week of practice leading up into that game. And I thought we went out and executed on game day.
Coach, and now? The Dogs are on a 5-game winning streak. You prepare to go to Howard next week. Another big matchup as you prepare to go 1-0 in the nation's capital. Let's talk about this matchup.
Really, really good football team. They had a big win this past week versus Dale State, and a tight loss the week before versus Norfolk. So, you know, we know what kind of football team that Larry Scott is going to have when we go up to D.C. So, you know, like I say, with our guys, man, we're just locked in on the process, man. And, you know, we had a really, really good practice last night, and we'll go again today. We'll give them off tomorrow so they can focus on, you know, the voting aspect of it all. But, you know, guys are locked in. They know what's at stake. You know, our young men know that when we go up to D.C., you know, last time we checked, Howard University was the last defending MEAC champ. So we know we have to go up there ready to play. Coach Scott will have his team ready to go. They're very silent in all 3 phases. They're very, very silent. Offensively, they got players, man. Defensively, they got players. Special teams, they do a good job of trying to win the field position battle. So we understand what's at stake, and our young men will be prepared to go as we leave on Friday, headed up to the nation's capital.
All right, Coach, that's it for me. Hold on for Elise, because she's got more, okay?
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Berry come from James Hill.
Coach, how are you, sir?
How you doing today? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Blessed. Mr. Eric Phoenix, he's making a lot of noise, 26 of 36 for 321, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick in the game against Central. Talk a little bit about his contribution and his development, and he's shining every time he steps on the field.
Well, Eric Davis is a good quarterback. He's a good person, first and foremost. He's very cerebral. He's very smart. You teach him what we want to do and the plan we have. And, he's a one-time guy. Sometimes you have guys you got to, he's a rep guy, but he's not a rep guy. He's a one-time guy. He understands ball. Eric wants to be a coach. And, he has coaching in his aspirations. And when you meet with Eric, you can talk to him, and he's really the coach out there on the field. I mean, honestly, and he's playing well. He's playing with confidence, and he's doing what we're asking him to do. What we tell Eric, just do what the offense calls for. Take what the defense gives you, manage the offense, don't turn it over, and put the ball in your playmakers' hands. And as you can see, we have some guys on that perimeter that can make it happen, whether it's vertically, short game wise, whatever it is. We have some guys that can really make it happen. So he's doing a good job. I'm proud of him. We're not done yet. He understands that I'm very, very demanding of Eric of what I asked him to do, but he understands the mission and what we try to do. And it starts with having a good day of practice. And always with him is about focusing on the main thing and keeping the main thing. And he's been locked and loaded for this season for us.
Coach, the game against Central, what are your takeaways? And when you think back to that one, how exciting is it? And again, what are your thoughts on the game against Central?
Well, it was a big game because it was the next game, and I thought we knew that Coach Oliver was going to have his team ready to go. I mean, there's a lot of similarities among both teams, and there's great relationships among both staffs, and we knew that they were going to be ready to go. When I was talking to Coach Oliver before the game, we stood and embraced for quite some time in pregame, and we knew it was going to be a dogfight. I mean, we knew that. I mean, we've been friends for quite some time, and we understood what kind of football team was going to have. But it was a big win for our program. I mean, all in all, whenever we can find a way to go 1-0, winning is hard. I say it all the time. Winning is hard. Winning is not easy. And to beat a good football team like North Carolina Central, it really made some steps in our program in terms of our guys believing.
Coach, South Carolina State University, next stop, the nation's capital on the hill. It's Howard University. This will be a very good game. It's a MEAC game. What are your thoughts going in there as you play a good Howard team? And again, as you say, they are the defending MEAC champions.
Well, when you watch them on film, they're very talented. When you watch them, obviously they have players. So it starts on their offensive side of the ball. Their quarterback is playing good ball. And when your quarterback's playing well, you give yourself a chance. And he's a true dual threat guy that can do it not only with his arm, but with his legs as well. And they have two running backs, man. I tell you what, the Eaton James and the Jared Hunter. Man, listen, you got to wrap those guys up. They do a good job of running the football. And they have a receiver out wide, man, number 3, Casey Hawthorne, man. He's a talented guy as well. So they have pieces on offense that can really be explosive. And then on defense, I mean, everything goes through their guy, Kenny Gallup. I mean, he's a guy that's special back there in that back end. They have a corner, we think, number 1 is really, really talented as well. Here by the name of Robert Jones. He's talented as well. They have a linebacker, number 8. He's playing some good ball. And I think they have a D tackle, number 10. I mean, he's pretty talented. Jamel Stewart, I believe that's his name. He's talented as well. So they have guys. It's our job to go up and make sure we got good plans and preparation as we go up and play against a good Howard University football team.
Coach, continued success, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Our next questions for Coach Berry come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach Berry. How's it going?
Morning, Chris. All is well. Thanks for asking.
This team has sort of skyrocketed to the top of the conference. There's still a lot of football left to be played, but did you, in your wildest imagination, think that this team would be this ready to compete this soon?
Just want to know, man. I mean, people think it's just coaches speak. Like, all we want to do is go 1-0. I mean, obviously, when we were putting this thing together, just 10 months ago, when we started putting this together, about 10 months ago, obviously I believed in what the plan was, the vision, and putting the right pieces. To me, it's not about going to get the best player or the best coach. To me, it's about getting the best fit. Who fits the brand of what we want to put out there in terms of South Carolina State University football? And I truly believe that we were putting the right pieces of the puzzle together to be able to get us to the point where we can just go 1-0. And you know, our young men have really bought into that mantra of what we talk about going 1-0. I mean, if you probably ask some of our guys what's our record right now, I mean, obviously they know. I mean, common sense to say they know, but all they just say, Coach, we're just trying to go 1-0. We're just trying to win today. We're trying to be the best we can be today and go 1-0. So they're locked in. They know what's at stake. They're a locked in team. And when you mix a combination of, you know, guys that have been here, you know, we bought in quite a few guys. I mean, you think about it, man, we bought in 32 guys. You know, you look at transfers, whether it was the guys we bought in at mid-year, the guys we bought in the summer, and the high school guys that we signed as well. You talking about new guys to bond with the guys that were currently here, the foundation of the Aaron Smiths, the Nick Taste, the Eric Brown, the Cam Johnson, the Octavian Mentors, they were already here. All right. And then you have to bring them in with the guys that we bought in. Then you put it together, you have something pretty special. So, and it starts with just believing and buying into the culture. You know, for us, it's about the culture. And I think the culture is we're not done yet. We got a long way to go. Trust and believe. I'm a pretty demanding guy in terms of what I expect from our coaches, our administration, our players. Everybody has to be on the same page, the same word, the same sentence, the same letter. And I believe if we can do that, we're heading in the right direction.
Going back to the last Thursday really quickly, were you surprised that your guys got off to such a fast start? Obviously, North Carolina Central came in really hot. They were winners of 5 straight. They had scored, I believe, 250 points in those 5 games. Were you surprised at how well your guys started that game?
No, I wasn't surprised. I mean, we planned. We preparation. I believe it's separation and the preparation. And I think that as a coaching staff, I have to have trust in them that we're putting our young men in a position to be successful. You know, we don't think plays at this time of the season. We think players. So we just find a way to put our players in the best position, something they believe in, that they can play fast and be confident in. And that's what we try to do here at South Carolina State University.
And lastly, just going back to my original question, we talked about this early in the season, you know, after the Florida A&M game, where you gave me the now famous quote that it's just football. But one of my coworkers, he's a Division II advocate, and he says he's going to talk so much junk if you guys pull this off, because there's always been a lot of talk about, you know, bringing D2 guys up to a D1 level. Do you feel like there's anything to that, or is it still just football to Chennis Berry in South Carolina State?
Ball is ball, man. I really feel that. You know, the young men that we brought in here, they were the right fit. Remember what I talked about fit before? I mean, the guys that we had, kudos to my staff at the last institution I worked at, we recruited really good players. And that's probably why you saw the separation in the scores when we were there. You know, we recruited really good football players and really good young men. See, for me, people watch film, right? They cut the film on and they evaluate talent. They say, oh, he's a good football player. But do you love all? See, we want guys that love all. You don't have to pull teeth to get them to want to practice, to get them to want to go to study hall, to go to class, to go to do the things that we're asking them to do. And regardless of whatever level, from the Power 5, Group of 5, whatever it may be, you got to love football. And the young men that we have here love ball. And when you got guys that love ball, regardless of what level, you put yourself in a position to be successful. And it's not really a level thing. I mean, of course, Division II, you got 36 scholarships. In Division I, you got 63. I mean, just more guys, you know, but ball is ball. And we feel like the guys, the select few guys that we brought in, whether it was even the guys that were with me at the last institution, we brought some other guys in as well that are really contributing, like Eonaj Carter. His nickname is Quick Six. So that kind of tell you what he was. I mean, he was at Savannah State, then he went to East Tennessee State University, graduated, did what he's supposed to do, and he's making plays. I mean, you can look at a variety of different guys that's doing some good things, but at the end of the day, ball is ball, and I'm really, really proud of our guys on where we are now. We got a lot of ball to play. You know, we're not focusing on what's happened in the past. We're so focused and locked in on let's see if we can go 1-0 today.
Thanks for your time as always, Coach Berry, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much, Chris. Enjoy your day.
Our next questions for Coach Berry come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Dwayne. Hope you're well.
I am. You kind of touched on various aspects of the question that I'm about to ask, and I hope I'm not being redundant. You guys are currently on a 5-game win streak. It's something that the Bulldogs haven't been on in 11 seasons. You talked about picking out the perfect pieces to bring into your program, but I want to ask about the guys that have already been there in South Carolina State, the guys who were basically carryovers from the Buddy Pugh regime. How were you able to get those guys to buy in to your system so quickly?
Well, it's culture, man. It's culture, man. There's an expectation on what we expect and what it to look like. And either some people are going to be a part of it and some people not. Everybody's not going to make the journey, man. But I understand that. And I'm okay with everybody not making the journey. Some made the journey. Some didn't make the journey. I had a young man, he came to me during his exit meetings after spring ball, and he said, Coach, I'm having a hard time buying in. Well, I say, well, good luck. Hope it works out for you because we're going to do it the right way. And, we're about discipline. We're about culture. We're about doing things the right way. And Coach Pugh left a good foundation of young men here. When you talk about Aaron Smith, man, what better linebacker, can you have? He's not only a good football player, and yes, he is. He's an amazing student. He's an amazing ambassador on campus. He's with the White House Initiative. He's an Omega. He's doing amazing things on this campus. He's already got his degree. And he's working on his second undergrad. And, he's doing amazing things, but he was already here. But he had to buy in, just like anything. You have to buy into it. You're not going to you got to get people to believe. And how do you get them to believe? Be consistent. And I tell our guys, man, listen, you don't have to be great. I'm not asking you to be great. All right, we all have good days. We all have bad days. Just be consistently good, man. That's all I ask them to do. Just be consistently good and do what we ask you to do. Be where you're supposed to be and just buy in. And it takes time, all in all. But, we have some guys that really have, bought in. And sometimes it takes you some a little longer than others. But if we're not on the same page, same sentence, same line, same letter, we can't be here together. Everybody's not going to make the journey. Some will, some won't. And the guys that have stuck through it, they're seeing fruits of their labor.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week in D.C.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And our next questions for Coach Berry come from Brandon King.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Brandon. How you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Brandon King with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab and SneakerShopTalk.com. Wanted to ask you, when you look at how the season has gone and the success that the program has already had, and you mentioned beating a quality NC Central team. When you set out at the beginning of the season, did you have a checklist on things that you wanted to get done in year one? And to that end, how would you assess how things have gone so far in year one?
Man, listen, man, we got a long way to go, man. Listen, man, I'm that guy. I'm a little different, man. People be telling about what we've done so far. We haven't done absolutely nothing. All right, because guess what? We still got a lot of ball to play, man. That's just really how I'm built, man. I'm built a little different, man. You can't rub me on the back and tell me how great I am, and then you be looking for the soft spot, man. No, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm built a little different, man. So at the end of the day, man, we're heading in the right direction. Are we there yet? We got a lot of ball to play, a lot to learn, a lot to grow, but I'm just grateful that the guys have found a way to buy in, man, more than anything, sir, man. When we look at this, man, we got a long way to go, Brandon, man. We really do. But I'm pleased where we're headed, but we have a long way to go to where we want to be.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach, and good luck as we move forward through the rest of the season.
Thank you so much, man. Enjoy your day. Take care.
You too.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Berry at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
You as well, Coach. Thank you. South Carolina State travels to face Howard on Saturday, November 9th at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff is set for 3:30 p.m., broadcasting on ESPN Plus and re-airing on ESPNU. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thank you so much, Elise. As always, we wrap this thing up every week with the head coach of the Morgan State Bears, Damon Wilson. Coach, I see you. Man, what a football game last Saturday. A thrilling finish at home against Norfolk State in overtime. You come back from a a big hole that was dug. You come back and you win it in overtime. Talk about this big football game in the win by the Bears.
It definitely was a good football game and a big win for us against a very good Norfolk State team. And we dug ourselves a hole, like you mentioned. We had 3 turnovers pretty much in the red zone or the high red zone, and I want to say the first quarter of the game. And they were able to capitalize on those turnovers, got us down 24-3. And the guys knew we weren't playing our best. It wasn't a whole lot of yelling and screaming at halftime. It was one of those deals. Hey, let's come play ball and see what happens at the end, and the guys responded, and we did just that.
Yeah, Coach, a team not being known for the offense, you rallied and came from behind in the second half with your offense, particularly a last-minute drive capped off by a big field goal by a freshman. What was the difference coming out of the second half that sparked the change?
Well, we made the adjustment at quarterback. Taj, our starter, has been banged up, and he didn't start the game. Deuce, our number 2 guy, started the game, had 3 turnovers. I looked at Taj and said, "Hey, can you go?" He said, "Coach, let's give it a try." And I think that sparked the team. Some of that last drive with the minute 40 left, we had to go down and kick a field goal to tie it. We had a walk-on kicker that's never kicked in college before, hit a 40-plus yarder. And but he's prepared. He's a guy that's always on the field before everyone else, and he's the last one to leave the field. And you're looking at him as a coach like, hey, this kid may not ever get an opportunity. And lo and behold, he got an opportunity. Our starter got hurt at walkthroughs. So, his number was called. He was prepared, and he executed. So we're excited for him and excited for the ball club.
What a celebration he made, too. I mean, what a great celebration that kid did. Coach, and that win has to resonate through your entire program as you now prepare to hit the road to go to Delaware State. I think this is a big matchup that gives you momentum down to continue, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the MEAC play, man, it's tough. There are no easy weeks. Delaware State's coming off a tough loss to Howard, but you can see what Coach Hall and those guys are doing on the field. And as far as preparing those guys are young. We're young, but they're fighting. They're getting after it. So we have to be sound in all 3 phases to have a chance to win the ball game.
And how do you feel about that? Are you sound now?
Hopefully we'll get there before we hit this bus. We have some days to prepare, but all in all, the guys responded well yesterday at practice. Coach Odom does a great job with his staff, and like I said, I've been in this conference now 3 seasons, and all of our games have come down pretty much to the wire. But that was a tough-nosed game, and they had an opportunity at the end. Fortunately, the ball finally fell our way at the end of the ball game to give us a chance to win. So, we're going to take this momentum and get prepared for Del State. And we'll hit the road Friday for a very good game on Saturday.
Okay, Coach, that's it for me, but I'm sure Elise has some questions from the media. Elise?
I do, Lynn. Thank you. As a reminder to the media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Wilson come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Wilson. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. How about yourself?
Pretty good. This is the second sort of shootout that you guys have had this year. Of course, the Hampton game starting off the season, and now this back and forth game with Norfolk State. Just what's it like being in those environments where, both, it's HBCU football, fans are going crazy, your guys are trying to keep up, their guys are trying to keep up. Just what is that atmosphere like to be in as a coach, and how do you hope your guys learn and, pocket that experience and help them grow as football players as you come down the stretch here?
I mean, all in all, you just want to have one more point than the other team at the end of the game. So if it's a 2-0 ball game or a 50-51 ball game, whatever it is, you want to be prepared for that game. And we've been fortunate. Well, last week we were fortunate to have enough, I guess, bullets, if you will, to get into the shootout and win at the end. And that's something that, I've been a part of close games before. I've been doing this now a couple of years here. And, some games you're gonna win by a couple of touchdowns. Some games you're going to get into dogfights. You just got to be prepared for dogfights. And when you're prepared for dogfights, you have a chance to win.
Elijah, of course, got the sack record this weekend. Obviously, the win takes precedent, but just how proud are you of that young man, considering all that, he's brought to your football program to be able to celebrate that milestone in a victory?
Man, that kid is special. You just heard Coach Barry talk about a couple of his guys, talk about them off the field and that sort of thing. Coach Elijah has already finished his degree. Elijah is the #1 supporter / cheerleader for the other sports teams on campus. He's going to be at every game when he can make it, cheering on the next
athlete, and he's just a great teammate, man. And on the football field, you're talking about to have the all-time sack record at Morgan State University, where there's been 4 NFL Hall of Famers that played at this university. Man, that's a great accomplishment, man. And I don't think he understands it right now how big that is. And but I know he's been a blessing to coach these last couple of years here. He was a kid that was an outside linebacker when we first got here. We moved him to defensive line, and he's continues to flourish every year.
Lastly, of course, you're going to Dover this weekend. Coach Hall has talked about how, he's trying to tailor what he has, with the younger players. Just how tough is it the opposing coach's perspective, not knowing who you're going to see because so much has changed within that, the other team. How do you guys prepare for, to kind of expect the unexpected, as it were?
I guess we're doing the same thing. We haven't had the same offensive line start back-to-back weeks. It's been hit to hit quarterback, different quarterbacks. At the end of the day, you want to prepare the next man up. And whatever you have to do as a coaching staff to get that next man ready to play, whether it's catering certain plays or whatever it may be, that next man has to be prepared to play. I think our kicker showed that, like I say, Saturday. You would never expect this young man to have to come in after a kicker getting hurt and walk through, that he would have to come in and kick the game-tying field goal to give us a chance to win the ball game. I mean, so he was prepared for his opportunity. And that's something we preach around, just being prepared for your opportunities and taking every opportunity that's available to you. And so that, hopefully our guys continue to understand that's what it's all about here. That's what it's going to take for us to be successful. And we're going to have the same mindset when we go to Delaware this weekend.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. As always, best of luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Chris.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from James Hill.
Coach, good morning. How's it going?
Going well, James. How about yourself?
I'm blessed. Talk a little bit about the victory over Norfolk, a 1-point game, 3 quarterbacks played, and then you had 10 different gentlemen who earned receiving yards. So the ball was thrown around. That's special. Take us back to that game.
Like you said, it was a total team effort. We dug ourselves a big hole, get down 24-3 in the first half of the football game. And we understand that it's 4 quarters of play. Sometimes it takes more than 4 quarters, but you got to give yourself an opportunity to be successful at the end. I think our quarterbacks did a great job. Taj did a great job coming in, spreading the ball around. Guys made plays. Got our tight ends involved in the passing game, running backs involved in the passing game, and guys made play down the stretch when it was time to make plays. And defensively, we gave up some explosives that we don't feel good about, but we're able to correct those mistakes after a win. And we'll do that. And like I said, we'll get ready for Dale State.
Next stop, the bus ride up 95. When you get there, you'll play the Hornets. Talk a little bit about what you want to get done there, and obviously, MEAC play and staying focused and taking care of business.
Want to start off fast, and of course, eliminate the turnovers. We've been doing pretty well with that. And the 3 fumbles we had early, they were just, they were ill-advised turnovers, just straight fumbles, whether it was on exchange or stepping up in the pocket. And that's something we can't do. We can't give good football teams short fields to work with, because if we do, we'll dig a hole. And, sometimes it's tough to get out of those holes. We were fortunate this past weekend. Anytime you go, with 4 turnovers to win a ball game, that's a tough feat. But we were able to get it done, and we look forward to starting off fast this upcoming week and protecting the football and give those guys a chance to be successful.
Coach, the city of Baltimore is about 38 miles from Washington, D.C. The vice president has a great opportunity this week. It should be a historic week. But when you think about the political process and what we can expect and what we will see over the next few days, talk a little bit about your thoughts on that and obviously Harris.
Man, this is a very exciting time. It's something we talked about as a program. It's something we've continued to talk about. We're going to practice tomorrow morning, give the guys an opportunity to get out and vote for those guys who hadn't voted already. Some guys voted early, but we talk about it as a team. We're educating them on the impact of this election. And we're very fortunate to be, like I said, so close proximity for when certain people win. We're going to be pretty excited to celebrate with them. And I think this is something that we cannot take lightly at all. And once again, we try to educate our student athletes on the importance to exercise their right to vote.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Donald Ware.
Good morning, Coach Wilson. How's it going?
Going well, Donald. How about yourself, brother?
Doing pretty good. So you lost control, but now, I mean, been ready, but now it's more motivation because everything is sort of in front of you still now.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit, but I think you said refer back to the loss to Central, I think.
Yeah, the loss to Central, but then now everything is still in front of you, with Central also losing. So can you speak to that and the motivation for still trying to play for a championship?
I mean, our motivation, we got to focus on the week. You know, we have to win this Saturday. We can't worry about the past. That Central loss, it hurt. We lost to a very good North Carolina Central team. The guys bounced back that Sunday and got after it. That's what gave us a chance to be successful against Norfolk. So we couldn't carry that loss from Central into the Norfolk State game, just like we can't carry the win from Norfolk into Delaware State. They're two separate weeks, two separate challenges, and we got to focus on the here and now. And that's something that we've been stressing here. And our guys understand that. And that's something I've been in this game, like I said, a couple of years now. And I understand 1 week has nothing to do with the next week. So we have to be prepared for a good Delaware State team.
What did you see? You mentioned Elijah Williams and moving him from outside to the line. Two-part question. What did you see that enabled you to make that move? And then what do you think his prospects are for next level play?
Well, we would change defense, and we were more of a 4-down front where they were 3-down front before we arrived here. Elijah will play next level. You know, Elijah will have some more football after he finishes here at Morgan State University. We've been very fortunate where 26 scouts have been past our practices and/or games, and they're here to see him. You know, and keep in mind, Eric Hunter was one of the top players coming into this season in the conference and in FCS, and he hasn't played it down yet. And those scouts still are coming to practice. They're coming to games. They're coming to see Elijah. He's a guy that I've been doing this 26 years. He's a special kid. He doesn't say a whole lot, but when he talks, everybody listens. And when that ball's kicked off, he's gonna be ready to play football.
How do you compare him? Your kid from Bowie State's name is escaping me, but that played inside for you. How do you compare those two?
I think we're really talking about Joshua Pryor.
Pryor, correct, yes.
Yeah, yep. Similar. Elijah's a lot bigger, has more girth. Joshua was more of an edge guy, but Joshua, as you know, ended up playing with the Commanders, then went on to Cincinnati. So he's in the CFL now. So he was a pro, and I think Elijah has the same type of ability. I think he's more of an inside guy. We play him up and down our line depending on what we're trying to get done that particular week. But he's a very versatile guy, very cerebral. He understands how to get on the board and talk the game. That's something that the scouts are going to love about him because he's just not a defensive lineman. He can line up the back end as well, understand gaps, understand coverages and fronts and that sort of thing. So he's a guy that I think really will help himself once the scouts get in here and really talk to him during the offseason.
Appreciate it, Coach Wilson.
You got it. Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions at this time for Coach Wilson. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Morgan State travels to Delaware State on Saturday, November 9th at Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware. Kickoff is set for 12 p.m., airing on ESPN+. This concludes the weekly Football Video Coaches Conference. Before we end the call, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video call. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video conference is next Monday, November 11th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, visit MEACsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's MEAC Football Coaches video conference and have a great football week.